Good afternoon and welcome to Thursdays with Charlie. This is our 6th show. We're on June 11th as we go through these shows, and I hope you're enjoying them. A lot of people seem to be watching them, and I certainly am enjoying putting them together. Yesterday I had a meeting up at the diocese in Las Vegas, so my brother drove me up, and on the way up we stopped at the barber's so I could get a haircut. Great clips up there. And went in, and you had to just sign in, and then they made you wait in the car. And so I went out to the car to wait, and then they called you in from the car. You could not wait in the barber shop. Went in, and then they took my temperature at that point, and they said, well, you're too warm. And I said, well, I've been sitting in the car. So they had to let me cool down in the air conditioning for a little bit and then retake my temperature. So I'm sitting in the chair, and they're cutting my hair, the lady, and she said to me, who is that man who drove you here? And I said, oh, that's my brother. And I sat there for a minute, and I said, wait a minute, why are you asking? She said, well, he told me to shave your head. I said, don't listen to him. Please don't listen to him. And she said, okay. And I got through that. I said, he almost carved his initials in my hair once. And she said, you want me to carve my initials? I said, no, please don't. So I have a reasonably nice haircut. I'm very happy about that. And then I get to the diocese for the meeting, and they take my temperature again. They have an interesting machine at the diocese. You don't actually have anyone point a thermometer at you. You go up to a machine, and you put your forehead sort of into it, and then it reads out your temperature. Kind of unusual, and I really didn't care for that very much because it makes no adjustment for height. And so you're either reaching up if you're short, or you're reaching down if you're tall to try to make it work. But at the meeting, they were commending people for the things they were doing to help us all get through this pandemic. And they praised one parish. They said, this parish has sent out a letter from the pastor to all the people. And they thought that was a wonderful idea. And I'm sitting there figuring, we just sent out our 13th letter to the parishioners, so we're 13 times ahead of the one that got the praise. And we're the only one who has a Thursday afternoon show, so we're ahead of the game on that. And that's kind of interesting and beautiful, too. They reminded us of a few things. One is that they would really like confessions during this transition period to be by appointment, and they were trying to suggest ways that we could do it safely. The suggestion was actually made, and we were invited to take a look at how it looks, is you take a coat rack and you hang a shower curtain from the coat rack and you put it between the priest and the penitent. I think that would look perfectly awful. And so the way we're doing confessions is you make an appointment, you would come into my office at the church, I'm sitting on this side of my desk, you're sitting on the far side of my desk, and you have your mask on or off, but you're more than 6 feet away from me, and I hope you don't mind that I am not going to take down my shower curtain and put it here in my office just to hear your confessions. I think we can safely stay 6 feet away, and that it won't be more than suffice. I should mention that the bishop also told us that his dispensation from the obligation to attend Mass, which he said would go up until the 5th of July, has now been extended indefinitely. So until you hear otherwise, there is no obligation for people to attend Sunday Mass here in the Diocese of Las Vegas, whether you're a visitor or a resident. The Mass obligation has been dispensed from for the foreseeable future. So if you feel more comfortable staying at home and watching the video Mass, that is fine. If you feel like making a reservation and coming, that is fine too. And speaking of reservations, looks like we're going to be, for at least the month of June, having to take reservations for the weekend Masses. And so our weekend Masses are at 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. on Saturday evening, and at 8 a.m., 10 a.m., and 12 noon on Sunday, and all of the Masses in June will be at the church. If you want to go to Mass here on the weekend, we ask that you call the church office at 702-298-0440 and make that call on Thursday or Friday between the hours of 9 and 3. Thursday and Friday between the hours of 9 and 3. Do not leave a message. Speak with a real person, and we will take your reservation up till we reach the number 50 at a Mass, and then we will ask you if you wanted to try another one, or those Masses that are filled for that weekend. According to the governor and the bishop, we cannot take more than 50 people at a Mass. It worked out pretty well last weekend. The biggest Masses by the most numbers are the 4 p.m. and the 8 a.m. There was room left at the 6 p.m. and the 10 and the 12, so you might want to keep that in mind for this weekend. If you can't make the 4 p.m. or the 8 a.m. by reservation, you might want to try a reservation for the 6 p.m. on Saturday or the 10 a.m. or the 12 noon on Sunday. And we'll have our weekday Mass at 8 a.m. on Monday, Tuesday, and Friday here at the church. Doors open for that 15 minutes before Mass, just like they do on the weekend Masses. But you do not need a reservation for the weekday Mass. We will just take as up to 50. And so far we've been doing very well with that with no problem. You must wear a mask for church, and communion will be given in the hand. So be prepared for that. We have not seen much of Paschal this week because of all the construction that they've been doing, and we were very pleased. Bob Bilbray took a video with his drone of the construction as of Tuesday, June 9th. Just 2 days ago. We put that up on our website, LaughlinCatholic.com. We also put it up on our Facebook page, Laughlin Catholic, and you should enjoy it. It's set to a beautiful tune, God Be With You Until We Meet Again, and it shows the progress that has been made in the construction, and I think you will enjoy it. One of my friends saw it and commented, "That is so beautiful. It makes Laughlin look like a resort area, makes people want to come here." And I said, that's probably part of the goal, too. We do want people to come. We want them to see how beautiful our resort area really is. While I was up in Vegas, and besides getting a haircut and going to the diocesan meeting, I also stopped at Goodwill. And strangely enough, in the photos, the picture section over there, they had a glass box, and in it they had a preserved wing of a great horned owl. It was about maybe 18 inches by about 12 inches, the box, and then this whole preserved wing of a great horned owl was in there. And I was tempted to buy it, but then I kind of figured that if Paschal ever saw it, he would figure I had dismembered one of his relatives, and that wouldn't go so well. So didn't buy it, but it was kind of a surprise to see it for sale in the Goodwill store. Before I forget, a reminder from our Colorado River Food Bank that they really need plastic bags very desperately, and they still need socks, the white athletic socks. Colorado River Food Bank is located on Civic Drive, just up the road from the Riverside Resort. And certainly if you can help them out, I know they'll appreciate it very much. One of the things I discovered at the meeting that was very, very good was the fact that I have informed them that we're naming our new building the Garces Center in honor of Father Francisco Garces, who visited here on the 4th of March in 1776. And I was informed that, as far as they can tell, we are going to be the first building in the Diocese of Las Vegas, owned by the Diocese of Las Vegas, that is named after Father Garces. So it's kind of an honor that the place he visited will also be the place that honors him with a building of the first. There are plaques and statues of him elsewhere, but this will be the first building, our Garces Center. So we're very grateful, and we hope you enjoy the progress of it going up, and we know you'll enjoy using it once it is up. For the past several weeks, I've wanted to speak to everybody on this show about our rural parishes. On the 12th of April in 2019, which happens to be coincidentally Father Garces' birthday, he was born April 12, 1738, but on the 12th of April 2019, the bishop appointed me as the dean of the rural parishes. Up until that time, we had only two deaneries in Las Vegas, and they were the northern part of Vegas and the southern part of Vegas, Flamingo Road being the dividing factor. And the parishes in the north, even the rural ones, were included in the northern deanery, and the parishes in the south, even the rural ones, were included in the southern deanery. And we had asked the bishop, could we have a separate deanery for the rurals, because our situations are different than the parishes in Las Vegas. And so the bishop granted that, and I became the first rural dean. And it was really good, and I get to represent these rural parishes, and there are 12 of us at the meetings of the diocese. In fact, at Wednesday's meeting, one of the things that was brought up was the diocese would like all of the priests to be tested for the coronavirus. And I said, well, I've already been tested. They said, no, they want the blood test to find out if we've ever had it, if it's crossed our paths. And I think it's a good idea for us to be tested. But their solution for testing was they will pick out a Monday and Tuesday, and you would just go to your local urgent care sponsored by UMC. And I raised my hand and I said, we don't have one. What do you mean? And I said, we don't have an urgent care in Laughlin sponsored by the UMC. I said, as a matter of fact, we don't have that in any of the rural parishes. So you'll have to find another way to test us. And so I get to bring up things like that to the diocese, and it does come in handy. And I get to represent the rural parishes. As I said, there are 12 of these rural parishes and missions, and we're the only one of the three deaneries that spans all 5 counties of the diocese. We have parishes in our rural deanery that are in Clark County, like we are. We have parishes in Nye County, in Lincoln County, in White Pine County, and even in Esmeralda County. And they're made up of parishes that many of which are older not only than the city of Las Vegas, but in many cases older than the parishes in Las Vegas Valley. And they've been controlled by different dioceses over their years. In the beginnings of these, there was no state of Nevada. There was no Diocese of Las Vegas. And so some of our rural parishes began under the Diocese of Reno. Some of them began under the Diocese of Salt Lake City in Utah. Some of our rural parishes began under the Diocese of San Francisco or Fresno. And even a few of them were under a vicariate that came out of, I believe, Stockton, California, or Sacramento, that no longer exists. But at one point, it did control the parishes in our rural area in that section of the diocese. So I wanted to say something about our rural parishes, and I thought it'd be interesting today to take a little time to do that. There are 12 of them, parishes or missions, that are run by 6 priests and 1 deacon. And they're scattered throughout these 5 counties. And so we have St. John the Baptist here in Laughlin, which you're all familiar with. And there's also St. John the Evangelist up in Overton. Sometimes our mail even gets mixed up with that one. Then there's La Virgen de Guadalupe, which is in Mesquite, and that's actually the parish that has its mission is St. John the Evangelist in Overton. Then we move on to Holy Child Parish, one of the oldest parishes in the whole diocese, and that is in Caliente in Nevada. And that's the only parish that's run by a deacon. We have Sacred Heart in Ely, which has a mission of St. Michael's mission in McGill. Sacred Heart Parish in Ely is the parish I was visiting this past year when I had the stroke, so I got to see the emergency room up there, but I didn't get to see much of the parish. I'm definitely going back to see more of that. And we go out to St. Patrick's Parish in Tonopah, which has two missions, St. Barbara Mission, which is in Round Mountain, Nevada, and Our Lady of Guadalupe Parish, mission rather, which is in Dyer, Nevada. And they're both missions of St. Patrick's in Tonopah. Then Our Lady of the Valley Parish in Pahrump, which has a beautiful mission, Christ of the Desert in Amargosa Valley. And finally, St. Catherine of Siena Mission, which is in Sandy Valley, a beautiful little mission church. It's interesting, I was looking at the statistics for all our local missions and parishes in the rural areas. We have some very interesting things within those areas. For instance, Area 51, that whole area of the aliens and the space exploration and things like that, that's within the rural area of our deanery. There's a giant cow out in the desert, which used to be up on the roof of the Holy Cow Casino in Las Vegas, that now sits in the desert in Amargosa Valley. The Opera House, which was set up many, many years ago as a place for people from California to come out and enjoy the desert as well as really quality shows. In Tonopah, there's the haunted Mizpah Hotel, and Tonopah also has the haunted Clown Motel. If you look those up online, there's some fascinating histories of both of those places. In Pahrump, we have the Pahrump Valley Winery, the only active winery in the Diocese of Las Vegas. And they have a beautiful restaurant up there. Hopefully when this virus is calming down, we'll be able to make many trips up there, and we encourage people to see these parishes. The Northern Nevada Railroad is up in McGill, Nevada, part of one of our rural parishes. And there are many silver and gold mines scattered throughout the area. Little known fact is, you might remember an old radio show Art Bell had called Somewhere in Time, and it was on Coast to Coast AM radio. And Art Bell actually produced that show from his home in Pahrump, Nevada, and so we got to see that. I'll tell you more about the history of our little rural parishes as we go along, but I just wanted to introduce you to them and how proud I am to be representing them. It's about time for Pascal with two wings to visit us over here, and he comes down with his weekly message. How he gets that in his beak with the Scotch tape amazes me. See what he has to say for today. We have Acta non Verba, and we had Quidquid Praecipies, Esto, Brevis. Two interesting sayings. Acta non Verba is actions, not words. It happens to be the motto of the United States Merchant Marine Academy in Kings Point, New York, and I think it's a good lesson one for all of us over there. Actions speak louder than words. It's what we do that's much more important than what we say. It's what we take care of, what we actually accomplish, not what we talk about, that is so important. And the other one, Quidquid Praecipies Esto Brevis, was actually written by the Roman poet Horace, 18 BC, 18 years before Christ, and it means whatever advice you give, make it brief. Whatever you say or give advice, make it brief. And I think there's a lesson to that. People will remember something brief rather than something longer. When I was in New Jersey, in my parish, we had a nun, Sister Suzanne, and she used to have a saying about speaking to parents or speaking to people or giving sermons, and it was, remember, the mind can only absorb what the rump can endure. That idea of keep it brief, keep it simple, don't overly complicate things. And so I think those two things, actions speak louder than words, and keep it simple. We don't need to have a lot of talk. We need to make our words flow into actions and keep it brief. And so I'll keep it brief. We can end this show very easily with two words. Be good. Have a great week. God bless.